live from historic Sargarian Field in Detroit, Michigan. We welcome you through the haze to Manning Tigers football, a rising program out of the Detroit Metro that you can barely see right now, but welcome as they're playing. Welcome to the 2KU Weekly Podcast. We are now nearing the halfway point of the season, and this stream is uncouth, unwatchable right now. I'm Antoine Joy 101, joined by Danny V and the Pig Bear for tonight's festivities. I don't think it's ever been as bad as this. How are you guys doing?
I'm cool.
Doing well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when they're not open, they're open. I mean, they can make the dynamic catches, the contested catches. They have the speed.
It's bad.
So whenever an offense has the football,
Welcome to Discord.
you're gonna like the show.
Yep.
All right. Let's move from here to our top stories. Actually, before I do, got some things I want to mention. First off, go Tigers. We're in the ALDS at this point. That's a big thing that happened in sports. The UFL, RIP my Michigan Panthers, but they are expanding out to some interesting new teams in Columbus, Louisville, and Orlando, as well as a rebrand of the Houston Roughnecks, the Houston Gamblers, bringing that brand back.
You got no one to hold them, no one to fold them, no one to walk away, and no one to run.
All in on the Gamblers. Also, a little history on this team. I actually made it this year in tribute to my late grandpa who got me into college football in the first place, as well as being a Tigers fan, hence the nickname. The orange and blue colors. Giving a bit of Illinois. It's kind of the inspiration there. But now we actually have one more thing I want to mention because of the ALDS. I want to shout out my buddy I Clap Bots on YouTube. You probably know him as Jack from the Among Us streams back then. But he was on local news today. I caught him on Fox 2. He was at the Tin Roof in Detroit. I've not checked the score of that Tigers-Mariners game. But now, after all that, we can move into our top stories of the week. We had 2 games of the week. I would say the games, much like the stream quality, they underperformed. Washington had a lot of offensive woes all night, but slipped away to get an upset win over top 2 Oregon. Meanwhile, number 1 Michigan got an ugly, hard-fought win over Sparty in Ann Arbor. Illinois, meanwhile, took Ohio State, number 7 in the country, to 5 overtimes and stormed the field after what might be the upset of the year. Rhode Island just casually set the record for the most points ever scored by one team in the FBS era. And tonight we'll be taking a look at the championship race since we're approaching the halfway point of the year. 34 teams are mathematically alive in the national championship race, and we're going to meet them. As well as the voting closing in the Missouri Valley. We'll be talking about that. We're going to start with our games of the week. In Autzen Stadium, the Cascade Clash, a low-scoring affair, which is not par for the course for a Pac-12 matchup such as this, but Washington improves to 5-0 with a 13-10 win over Oregon, and they're going to burst into the top 10 for the first time in 5 years. Danny, thoughts on this game we saw?
Boring.
I'm a bit inclined to agree. It's kind of a snoozer. What are the implications of a game like this?
I mean, it shows that Washington is probably the best team in the pack. But Oregon, they still have a lot left in their schedule and a lot more to prove, and we might see them play against each other again in the future.
Big Bear?
Oh, this was a snooze fest, wasn't she? Yeah. What a snooze fest with Washington getting the upset.
An ugly win's a win. That's probably Michigan's mantra after their win of the Paul Bunyan Trophy over number 12 Michigan State. The number 1 Wolverines in a even uglier matchup got the win 9-7. And this has been a trend for Michigan that's a bit alarming if you're a fan. The Wolverines played sloppy in a 17-16 win over Minnesota. They played sloppy this week against Michigan State. They head on the road to Camp Randall to take on a ranked Wisconsin team next week. A game they are favored in, but if they keep up this sloppy play, it might be a sign of bad things to come in the future. Danny?
Yeah, I mean, Michigan fans, at least you're not Penn State, so
You
can
won.
win the big games, but welcome to Big Ten football, where your scores are 9-7.
And I'm just reminded. And I'm just reminded now that Michigan State, their defense was suffocating. However, their offense was anemic. They have to play Ohio State next week. And we'll talk about Ohio State coming up. Pig Bear? I was disappointed. This was supposed to be our biggest weekend of the year.
Big Ten football. Big Ten West football. Well, Big Ten. Yeah, not Big Ten West.
Big Ten does not have a West, but
It was a fun night, Friday night.
we did have a fun night Friday night. Every other game we had was normal. I don't know why these two just happened to be as bad as they were, as bad as this stream.
Very weird. I don't know. I think we'll talk about the Friday games. Oh boy.
Speaking of, let's talk about that.
The games were really fun.
Rhode Island heading to New York City to take on St. John's, who are currently in their bunking, let's say, arrangement with Columbia. It has not been a good year for St. John's. They did get a win, so they're not going to go 0-12. But they might go down as one of the worst teams in college football history, even with that win over an FCS team in, I believe, Westchester.
Yep.
Rhode Island was not a very good team either entering this game. They were 2-3. They already voted to leave the FBS for the FCS. They've got a spot in the Coastal Athletic Association waiting for them, most likely. However, the alarming thing is St. John's got smoked. Not only did they get smoked, Rhode Island just casually decided to set a record. 115 points in a single game. If you remember, longtime fans of the show will remember Oregon beating Cal State Los Angeles 106-3 in a game with pretty much no consequence for either squad. The Ducks were on fire early that year. However, they'd end up getting derailed by injury. They ended up winning the Sun Bowl. CSULA was a low-tier FCS squad. These are teams that should be comparable on paper, though. Rhode Island, not a great team. St. John's a worse team. They actually joined the Big East together in 2022, if you'll remember. Rhode Island left 2 years later to join the New American, and St. John's joined a year later for this season. So I don't really understand, what is this gap? How do you score 115 points like this? Danny, you were there for this. Can you make sense of this game?
It was just Rhode Island being hot and St. John's really being bad. The only thing that kept St. John's in the game was their defense. Ironically enough, it was St. John's that scored first. St. John's got an interception that led them to a field goal. So, thinking like that's the start of the game, you're gonna have a great game, but then Rhode Island just pummeled them.
How many unanswered points?
It was almost 45-0 until St. John's caused Rhode Island to fumble in the end zone for a touchdown. That's how we got the 10. And then afterward, it's just been Rhode Island since.
Pig Bear, can you make any sense of this either?
No, I can't. Yeah, there's BTA per se, and then there's this.
St. John's is really running its way down to the bottom. The worst team
I
we've
think
seen in the
that's
stream
the
era,
surprising bag.
that would have to be that 2022 Eastern Washington squad. It was 427 points in the red, the worst point differential in college football or in 2K Ustream history. And St. John's with a week like this and already several bad losses under their belt, it seems like they're going to get there sooner rather than later. This might be one of the worst teams we've ever seen. Meanwhile, let's talk about some good teams. Nebraska and BYU clashing 45-37. The number 22 Huskers improved to 4-1 with the win over the Cougs. Danny?
Yeah, this was a great game. BYU was leading for most of the game, but it wasn't until the fourth quarter where they just kind of stalled out and Nebraska was able to take the jump over.
Big Bear?
Corn beats dirty soda.
Moving one more Friday game, we have West Virginia undefeated and in the rankings heading on the road to a somehow hostile Audi Field. And they get brought to the brink and brought down in 4 overtimes by Georgetown. That might be the Hoyas' biggest win in recent memory. And how about Georgetown with a winning record at 3-2 after 4 overtimes? Danny, your takeaways.
Yeah, that was a fun game to watch. I mean, we were all expecting West Virginia to win this game, but no, Georgetown, they put up a fight and actually got the win. It was actually Pigberry I was streaming that game.
Big Bear?
What a game. Yeah,
Just
Georgetown
picked
gets the
off.
upset over the Mountaineers.
Virginia falls to 4-1. They're still in the hunt for the Big East, though. Meanwhile, Ohio State and Illinois the next day saw that 4 overtimes. In the words Les Claypool, I'm gonna do you one better. 45-37, 5 overtimes make it. Illinois storms the field after their upset win of number 7 Ohio State to win back the Illabuck. The Fighting Illini, this might be a win that turns their hopes around. They were expected to not do well once again. They had a rough 2024. And it was seemingly going to be more of the same as they enter conference play. But now with that win, think again about dodging the question of Illini being competitive. The hierarchy of power in the Big Ten is about to change. Danny?
Yeah, well, while Ohio State wasn't the number 1 team in the conference, they were at least in contention for it. This definitely does put a wrench in their plans.
Big Bear?
They rush the field as somewhere they're dancing for the Illini as they take back the Illabuck. And this is a massive win. Illinois is a team we should be talking more. Not to preview things, but they're not currently ranked. This team, if they go into not Nittany,
Happy Valley.
Happy Valley, yeah, Nittany Stadium where the Beaver Lions play. Yeah.
If they can go to Beaver Stadium, beat Penn State, if they can go to Madison and beat the Badgers, I think Illinois might be ranked at that point. They haven't been ranked since 2023. After a big 2022, they fell off the map. Meanwhile, let's stay in the Big Ten. Wisconsin getting a 35-30 win in Beaver Stadium in Happy Valley over Penn State. Penn State falling to 2-3. Things are not going to get very easier down the stretch because they still have Michigan to play. They still have Ohio State to play. They still have Michigan State to play. As well as some trap games in Minnesota and Indiana to look out for. Things could go from bad to worse for Penn State. As for Wisconsin, they're 4-1. That loss to William & Mary is still going to haunt them, though, especially with what's coming up. It wouldn't be the end of the world should they lose next week to Michigan had they not lost to William & Mary for their natty hopes. But now, it's do or die for the Badgers. Danny?
Yeah, great win for Wisconsin. Luckily, we all know Penn State can't win the big games. But definitely good job to the Badgers. Happy for you guys. Good luck against Michigan. At
Good
least
luck.
it's homecoming for you guys.
Pig Bear?
Texas Roadhouse rolls. That's it. If you know, you know.
I guess I don't. Meanwhile, the 7-point curse continues for our good friends down south in Orlando. The Dave Shaw University Truckers. Though this time it does result in a win. 30-23, the Dave Shaw Truckers upset a Virginia Tech team entering Orlando. As Dave will enter their bye at a perfect 500 at 3-3. Meanwhile, Vatek at 3-2. It's all falling apart fast for the Hokies. Danny?
Yeah, they showed they definitely did needed this win to at least stay up. Virginia Tech, they aren't looking this best. For the computer's not even looking at them well. As I share with you the latest computer rankings, personal
The
internal rankings.
Notre Dame is the new Virginia Tech for the computer.
Yeah.
Pig Bear?
Yeah, Dave Show Dave Show the 7-point curse remains. They're never going to escape it.
Let's run through some scores real quick beyond that. Penn scored 19 points. It wasn't enough. They lost 56-19, but that's not just to any school. That's to an FCS squad, Monmouth. And I don't know how we can check this or not, but this might be the biggest, most lopsided win by an FCS team over an FBS team in quite some time. Though not the worst team to do it to, Monmouth undefeated in FCS play. We're going to see their name in November come the FCS playoffs beginning. As for Penn, it might be over. Danny?
Yeah, you just need win number 1 Penn. And it has to come to someone in Ivy League play, so good luck.
An Ivy League that's not doing very well, but even then, Penn is by far the worst team at Pig Bear.
Well, there's always a team that always comes out of the Ivy League and shocks us yearly.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Like clockwork, you always get one. Any takeaways about Penn State, or more accurately, any takeaways about Monmouth?
Monmouth's good. Bring him up. I know we're trying to shrink, but expand? Question mark.
Let's run through some more. Let's run through some more scores here. Iowa State 39-38 in a close game against Missouri on teams on two opposite trajectories. Iowa State now 5-1. That's their best start to the season since their 2008 Big 12 championship year. Meanwhile, Missouri 0-5, a really rough start to the year for the Tigers, and it does not get easier down the stretch. Danny?
Yeah, good job to Iowa State, Missouri. You need win number 1 wherever you can get that. They've been playing really close. Let's leave up somewhat positive.
Peg Bear?
Iowa State, Missouri, the telephone trophy live on TNT, and you only beat a winless team by 1. Oh, that's weird. Wonder if they rushed the field for that.
They might. 5-1 is really big. They've got wins. They've got some solid wins. Namely, that win over Oklahoma is definitely looking good on their roster. They have the telephone trophy. Is the Big 12 calling? They have a matchup coming up against Nebraska. That might be for a spot in the Big 12 championship game. And remember, Big 12 title game likes underdogs. So should Texas get that number 1, whoever gets that number 2 might be feeling good about themselves. Let's skip ahead to the other Big 12 game we have on here. Kansas 5-1 with their 31-28 win at Houston. The Cougars now down to 3-2 after a 3-0 start. They've dropped 2 straight. What are your thoughts on this one, Danny?
The basketball schools are playing football. Luckily, it was the blue one that beat the red one. Good job, Kansas.
Big Bear?
Kansas, they closed their eyes only for a moment, and the moment's gone. Then we're down to H-Town and got the W by 3.
Rebounding nicely after that loss to Texas, or Texas A&M. I think I'm more confident in Iowa State in the Big 12 than I am Kansas, but we'll talk about that later. Let's wrap up. Chicago falling to 3-2. They've lost 2 straight entering Big 10 play. Though now 48 with a 48-41 win, Purdue, number 20, is one of the first teams to launch their spot bowling. The Purdue Boilermakers are 6-0. Two other teams are joining them in the bowl qualification spot on the first week. We'll talk about that later. Danny?
Yeah, good job to Purdue. Best start in a while. Chicago was a bit of a close game. They could have pulled it off, but didn't.
Mm-hmm. Big Bear?
Yeah, Purdue's scary. Blow that train horn.
I don't have a train horn.
Choo-choo.
I have a truck horn, but I don't have a train horn. I have the same games again, so we can skip that. Let's talk about the Missouri Valley right now. The polls for the Missouri Valley have closed. As with other conferences, they're voting on staying in the FBS or FCS. We've seen the Southland, the SoCon, and the American vote already. Missouri Valley will be the conference ending the first round. There are some other odd and ed teams voting one round. The WAC, namely Eastern Washington, and the MAC still have to vote. Though most of those results are probably set in stone already. This is the last full conference that'll be voting. You'll need a 75% majority to confirm a move up or down. Any schools without majority will reconvene on November 8th. That's going to be Missouri Valley's second round, as it will for the SoCon. All final rounds will be on the 29th of November. And looking at the numbers already, we have some teams confirming their move. Missouri State and Southern Illinois unanimously staying up with 100% votes on both sides. Southern Illinois, original FBS member, the most successful team in the conference right now. No surprises there. Missouri State, they were already committed for a while. After a rough start in the 2KU era, they've built themselves up to a consistent bowl berth. And Missouri State looking like a dark horse in the Missouri Valley themselves right now. Meanwhile, also staying up is Drake. Drake has the most conference championships in the Missouri Valley all time, and they are locked into the Missouri Valley's North race after continuing to be middle of the road in the conference. Youngstown State as well has confirmed the vote up. They just joined in the Missouri Valley after 10 years in the MAC plus a season in the Conference USA, or 9 years in the MAC plus a season in the Conference USA. And it really feels like this is the right fit for Youngstown State. It felt like the MAC was not really their sort of competitive field. It felt like the Conference USA was too far flung for them to really garner any true connections. Missouri Valley feels just right, and I think they agreed with that. Interestingly, are the teams that didn't vote up or down, but some of the teams who you expected to vote up that didn't, namely North Dakota State and South Dakota State. North Dakota State voted 73% to stay, and South Dakota State voted 60% to stay. Not enough to automatically lock themselves in. That might be because of how the other Dakota schools have voted. North Dakota voted 28%. They'll vote again later. And South Dakota voted only 20%. They are on the way out, as is Northern Iowa at 21%. Wayne State at 13%, which is not unexpected for a new team. Funds are difficult to come by. And Western Illinois, which was the very much expected vote, a 4% no, or a 4% yes to stay up, and a 96% no. I'm expecting this was the result we were expecting. Some other teams also still on the fence. Illinois State and Indiana State voted 72-65 each. Those are original FBS members and founding Missouri Valley members. I expect them to stay up. I expect the Dakota States to stay up. Wichita State is interesting. I don't know where to sit on them. They're an original FBS member, but they have been by far the least successful of the original Missouri Valley members in the conference still. They voted 48% yes. We'll have to see how they vote moving forward, seeing as if Missouri State were to end up leaving, it would leave them kind of an outlier in the conference. Danny, what are your thoughts on the Valley's voting? Any major takeaways?
Keep the Dakotas. Keep the Dakotas together. I mean, it's a shame that you don't have the full Dakota Quadrado.
Big Bear?
No, North Dakota State, South Dakota State should be in the FBS. There's no question. They're established programs, and I'm just not sure the others are there.
It's kind of a weird situation because there's not really anywhere for any of the teams to go. So the conference is probably going to stick together. It's just uncertain as to where it would be because the American, with what we've seen, the voting results in the SoCon, they're probably looking to stay east, and their expansions into west of Alabama, Tennessee, Texas, they didn't pan out very well.
Also, shocker for Wayne State considering they're at 5 wins this season. They're almost bowl eligible. This is a little shocking one to me.
I lost my train of thought. The Americans looking east, so I don't think any teams from the Missouri Valley would be on their radar. The WAC is probably not looking. The Mountain West, while looking, they're not looking for teams in the Missouri Valley. Conference USA might be a little too far off, especially since the conference will end up losing teams in Texas. Should the Mountain West come knocking there? Missouri Valley is in an interesting place right now. I could potentially see teams like Southern Illinois or Missouri State getting poached by the MAC should Duquesne and Johns Hopkins end up leaving for whatever they want to go to. Potentially Independency, potentially been the American. Imagine Sunbelt Missouri State. Unless. Looking at the poll dates coming up next week, the few WAC schools that have votes in will be determined. The week after that, you have Eastern Washington, the Lone Mountain West School. Though right now, with the relative success Eastern Washington is having, I'm not expecting them to vote to move down. As well as on the 25th of October, you have the second round of Southland voting, as well as the two MAC schools in Duquesne and Johns Hopkins. The second rounds for the SoCon and Missouri Valley are on November 8th, and the final round of voting overall, for any teams who hadn't made up their mind at that point, will be on November 29th. I'm going to hand it off to Danny V here, where he's going to talk about the teams who are going bowling and the teams who are up next. Danny, take it away.
Yep. As of now in the FBS, we have 3 confirmed teams going to a bowl game. We have Purdue out of the Big Ten, Texas State out of Conference USA, and Nevada out of the Mountain West. All 3 of them got the 6 wins, and therefore they all have clinched a bowl game. We have a lot of teams who are sitting outside. In the ACC, we got 2. We got Clemson and Georgia Tech. They will both be playing each other this weekend, so winner gets a bowl clinch. The American has none in the outside. Meanwhile, the Big East has 2, Rutgers and Louisville. Big Ten has 1 with Michigan. The Big 12 has Texas and Iowa State, who are sitting right outside of bowl contention. The Missouri Valley has Southern Illinois. The Mountain West has Colin Payton, first time in a while.
Be their first bowl berth since 2022 or 2021. It'd be their first bowl berth since 2021.
The most of this list is the Pac-12 with 4. Oregon State, USC, Arizona State, and Washington. The SEC has 2, and Alabama and LSU. The SoCon has William and Mary, and William and Mary could have made it if it wasn't for Thursday Night Football.
You broke up there.
Okay, we should have.
You broke up there. The SoCon's teams, William Mary and Richmond.
Yep. William and Mary could have made it in if it wasn't for Thursday Night Football, which we should have had then. Southland's got McNeese. The Seminoles got Florida Atlantic. Miracle story there. And the WAC has Tarleton.
I'm gonna talk about these teams because up next, gotta put my water down. I want to take you through the power conferences plus the BCS Buster Watch as we talk about the 34 teams who are still in the hunt for a national championship. That includes every power team who is undefeated or only has one loss, as well as every not undefeated group of 5 team or non-power team. With all of that, that comes to 34 total squads. I'm going to go conference by conference, as we'll also be talking about since we're at the halfway point of the year, we're going to talk once again about who we're expecting to win the conferences or play in the championships. And we're going to get things started in the ACC. 3 teams are within range of the Natty. Clemson, Georgia Tech, and Miami are undefeated or only one loss in the Canes case. Clemson seems right now like the comfortable favorite in the Atlantic, though Maryland could play spoiler, potentially stealing a conference championship spot from a Tigers team who would end up only having one loss. That might be... It would be very similar to Virginia Tech back in 2023, who went 11-1 and didn't play in their conference championship due to tiebreakers. Clemson, very familiar. They would have played in that conference championship had they not lost to Virginia Tech. Meanwhile, Clemson and Georgia Tech play on Saturday. One of them will be overwhelming favorites in the conference. The other will be entering play with only one loss. Remember when we said this game was going to be better? Sorry, I got distracted. Miami only with one loss. They're an interesting team to talk about, but they have road games that are going to be very difficult in Virginia Tech, Miami, North Carolina, as well as a non-conference road game against Notre Dame. Right now, I feel like Clemson is going to win the Atlantic, and I think actually I'm going to pick Georgia Tech to win the Coastal in spite of the loss. I think Clemson will enter the conference championship undefeated or maybe with a loss to someone like Maryland. But I think Clemson enters that. Tech is going to have one loss against Miami, and I think Clemson will win. Danny?
Yeah, give me in the ACC, I'm gonna get Clemson and Miami. I think they both have a really good chance.
Big Bear?
Clemson and Georgia Tech meet for a second time in Charlotte,
All right.
and Clemson wins that.
Big East. We have a tight race in the Big East North as Rutgers is undefeated. Meanwhile, Temple, West Virginia both only have one loss. Temple's one loss was to Rutgers, so they're kind of on the back foot here. But Rutgers for sure is going to have a loss, or Rutgers may have a loss to Louisville. I'm expecting them to at least. And there might be some difficulty Rutgers has down the road because they still have to play West Virginia. They still have to play a difficult UConn squad. It's not going to be smooth sailing for the Scarlet Knights moving forward. And I think that might be enough to swoop in and have Temple steal division. Meanwhile, I think with Cincinnati's implosion against UCF, which we didn't mention, but Cincinnati dropped that game big time. I think right now Louisville is the runaway favorite in the division. I like them to cruise. I think could the stars align, Louisville will enter the conference championship undefeated. I think they're going to win over a Temple team who has made it their business to upset every undefeated Big 12 team. Danny?
Yeah, I think Louisville is going to win the South no matter what I think my Knights going to do. I think Louisville's going to win it. But give me West Virginia to win the North. They have been playing really well despite that loss to Georgetown. I think they're going to bounce back and get some good wins.
Big Bear?
Also, good thing about West Virginia, that loss to Georgetown doesn't kill you because you're in the North and they're in the South. But in the North, I'm gonna pick Rutgers, and I'm gonna go with UCF.
All right. To the Big Ten, only 2 undefeated teams remain: Purdue and Michigan. Michigan's looked ugly, but I think they are still your favorites to win that number 1 spot into the conference championship game. I think the real question marks right now, they have 2 games, both on the road: Wisconsin and Ohio State. Ohio State has proven to be a winnable game for the Wolverines, especially with Ohio State's loss this week to Illinois. Wisconsin is a question mark to me, because this is a team who has dominated most of the games they played all year, as well as having a loss at home to William and Mary, who just lost to Furman. Wisconsin's going to be interesting. I like the Badgers right now. To play against Michigan a second time in the conference championship game. Meanwhile, I don't trust Purdue in the stretch. Michigan State, still a 1-loss team. They're another team still technically in it, but they have Ohio State coming up, and they still also have games against teams like Penn State that I'm not entirely convinced that they can win. Give me Michigan and Wisconsin in the conference championship game, and I think they're going to split that series. So if Michigan wins one, Wisconsin's going to win the other. I like Wisconsin to win in the regular season, but Michigan will win in the conference championship game. Danny?
I'm going to go with your Big 12, Michigan, Wisconsin. They both have been the best teams, and despite how Purdue's been playing, I think it's only a matter of time before they get spoiled themselves.
Pig Bear?
Spoilermakers run the table. Michigan, Purdue.
An undefeated Purdue you're expecting.
Yep.
You gotta believe in the Boilermakers, I guess. Boil-eve. To the Big 12, we have 5 teams still in national championship hunt. 2 of them are on top of the standings right now. Texas and Iowa State sit on top. Texas 5-0, Iowa State's 5-1. Meanwhile, you have 3 other 1-loss teams in Nebraska, Kansas, and Texas Tech. Nebraska and Texas Tech have a very interesting matchup coming up. I like the Red Raiders winning that. In fact, I think Texas right now might be the team with the most secure path to the national championship. I think they don't really have a lot that's going to take them down so far. Meanwhile, Clemson, Georgia Tech have each other. Michigan has Wisconsin. Rutgers and Louisville have each other. The Pac-12 is an absolute mosh pit. Alabama plays Georgia. LSU has several trap games on their schedule. Florida, as well as Mississippi State. We'll get to that in a second. I think Texas makes it the conference championship. It's going to be a very interesting question of who's second. Kansas has not been very impressive to me. They are 5-1, but their one loss was to arguably the best team on their schedule in Texas A&M. And aside from that, their most impressive win, I guess, would be Houston. I'm not impressed by this Jayhawk squad. I feel like this is very much like last year, where they'll rise the rankings and then dip back down once they start playing Big 12 ball. Nebraska, I think, loses to Tech and falls back, and I think they might lose to Iowa State as well. Do Texas Tech and Iowa State play each other? I'm not sure.
Let me just do a quick check.
But I think it's between them for my pick for second place in the conference. And right now, with how impressive they've played so far, Texas Tech's one loss is in conference to Oklahoma State, so they are going to have to work a lot harder, but they don't have Texas on their schedule for sure. And and they don't have Iowa State either. I think Texas Tech has a very winnable, very manageable schedule moving forward. I like Texas and Texas Tech to play in the conference championship game, and give me the give me a curveball. Remember, Big 12 championship game loves underdogs. Give me Texas Tech over Texas. Danny?
I do think Texas Tech is going to win in all the way up to the championship game. But give me Iowa State to make it. They host Texas later in the year. It's going to be cold for them. Give me the Cyclones.
Pig Bear?
Give me Texas and Kansas State. No, Kansas State. Iowa State.
It's going to be hard for Kansas State to make it. They're 3-2. Technically not out of it, though.
Give me Baylor. Give me Baylor. What a fall off.
It has not been a great year so far for Baylor. It's It's been a tough Big 12. I'm sorry, what was yours again?
Kansas, Iowa State, Texas.
All right. The Pac 12. There are more teams here than any other. 8 are within championship reach. You have 5 undefeated squads in Oregon State, USC. Sorry, 4. Oregon State, USC, Arizona State, and Washington are all undefeated. As we mentioned, they're all going for a bowl game coming up. Washington just had a big win over Oregon. They are the trendy new pick to make it to the conference championship game. Their next game is Oregon State. That's definitely not going to be an easy task, but Washington has done well in what was supposed to be the stretch that broke them. Boise State, Oregon, Oregon State. They are 2-0 in this 3-game stretch. And this was the game that they were expected to win most likely. I mentioned that should they make it mostly unscathed, they're a Pac-12 contender. Should they make it undefeated through that schedule, that's a national contender right there. I think I like Washington beating Oregon State. I think Washington's going to run the table, and I think they make it to LA. As for the team that's coming up, I think you shouldn't write off Oregon. If there's any one-loss team that has a good chance of making it still to the national championship in spite of everything, I think it would be the Ducks. That one loss was to Washington. That one loss was by 3 points. That one loss was at home, but it was to one of the best teams in the country and in the conference. I like Oregon running the table, entering the game 11-1. I think right now Oregon State, USC, and Arizona State are going to end up splitting their series. I think Stanford has it in them to pull some upsets. They're 3-2. I think they could pull upsets against Arizona State, against Oregon State as well. And right now, USC is kind of walking on thin ice. They've been playing sloppy in some of their wins, even if they have dominant scores. I think my championship game is going to be a rematch between Washington and Oregon, and give me the Ducks to win it. Danny?
I'm going to pick Washington to make it because they have wins against Boise State, Oregon, and they play against Oregon State and Utah later, so they definitely have a great resume right there. But I get me USC. They have a really easy schedule. Their next big game is Oregon State in week 12. It's going to be pretty good shot for them to make it.
Pig Bear?
Give me Oregon State and Washington.
Oregon State and Washington to rematch. All right. We're going to go to our SEC now. Right now, it's the East. There are 5 teams in the conference. Right now, the East is the most exciting. You have Alabama still undefeated, as well as Florida and Georgia. Each one-loss teams. They play each other in week 12, obviously, but Georgia and Alabama play each other next week. It's going to be a high-stakes game. I like the Dogs at home there. I think that's where Bama gets their first loss, and that might put the SEC on the back foot again. I think LSU has several trap games moving forward, like I mentioned. Mississippi State, Florida as well. I think I'm not totally confident in this SEC making the national championship, but they're definitely going to end with a team with one loss. I think Bama and LSU will match up in the championship game because I think Georgia does get a second loss to Florida. I think Bama makes it through their schedule. I think LSU makes it through with one loss. Give me Bama to beat LSU. Danny?
Give me Georgia against LSU for the conference championship game. This seems like it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be a fun matchup. So give me the Bulldogs to win it.
Pig Bear?
Give me Georgia and give me LSU.
Okay. I'm going to now take us to the BCS Buster Watch, of which there are 6 undefeated teams competing for a BCS spot, and should things line up, a national championship spot. Texas State, Southern Illinois, Nevada, Cullen Payton, Florida Atlantic, and Tarleton State, a team I don't think a lot of people are talking about in terms of being undefeated. Doesn't help with that whack schedule. Texas State is probably the team I see being undefeated, most likely. but I think Nevada is the team with the most likely chance to make it to a national championship should things line up. Naturally, the Mountain West has done this twice before, including winning the championship back in 2019 and 2022 through BYU and Boise. Of course, both those teams are no longer in the conference, but Nevada is, I would say, the best team here. Cullen Payton, as much as as I created the team, so of course I like them, but I feel like they have rode through a very easy schedule so far. Meanwhile, Nevada has already tested themselves against sleeper teams in the conference, namely New Mexico State, who are a team that are better than their record. I believe Nevada and Cullen Payton do play each other coming up, and I like Nevada in that game. I think they're going to win the Mountain West. I think Texas State will win the CUSA. I think Southern Illinois is going to win the Missouri. I think Southern Illinois is going to win the Missouri Valley, but it's not going to be particularly dominant because you have Youngstown and you have Missouri State, who are definitely going to give you competition. Tarleton, meanwhile, I don't know if they're going to win the WAC because Louisiana Tech is finally picking up steam after a really difficult start to the year. North Texas has been playing extremely well. You also have Hardin-Simmons in West Texas playing better. Pacific, too, I think is a sleeper pick in the WAC. Florida Atlantic, they're higher ranked than any other team in the conference or in the Sun Belt's history, which I think is impressive for a team who doesn't really have a super defining win. They do have wins against UCF and Tulane, who were both in the top 15 at the time, but Tulane is 2-3. UCF only just jumped back into the top 25 this week after falling off the face of the earth for a little bit. I feel like FAU is kind of walking on a tightrope, and they have a game this week against Coastal Carolina in Conway, and they have a game against App State in Boone. I think that is where the Owls end up slipping up. If not dropping out of the conference championship race, at least out of the BCS. Danny, your thoughts?
Yeah, for the BCS Busters, there's definitely a lot of contention. Texas State does have a okay win against Kansas State, though they're not the same as they were when they start. I still really like FAU. I really like them to win, to get to a BCS bowl game. And shame William and Mary's no longer on the list. Sad.
Yeah, they're not dead.
Hey, Bear?
There's a team y'all are forgetting. And this team has lost to a power team. So I won't count them out yet. Yes, that is right. I'm being a homer and picking Appalachian State.
I think App State has a good chance of beating FAU and potentially making it to the Sun Belt off of that. But right now,
it's a stretch, but I mean, if everything else falls apart and they win the Sun Belt, because I think they'll be the Sun Belt champion.
Yeah.
And
look out! 59-yard field goal, and it's through. You're saying?
And there is no, and I'm talking zero, absolutely zero bias in that pick.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think right now, with the conference champion, or with all my conference championships going through, I'm gonna look. Just going through, I'm gonna look through from a national champion. I have a lot of one-loss teams going forward. I think Clemson might be a one-loss team entering the conference championship. Tech will definitely be. I think Michigan and Wisconsin are playing both with a loss. Texas might be undefeated, but I have them losing the conference championship because of the Big 12. SEC, I think, is going to end up with a one-loss team. Pac-12, most likely, since I have Oregon there. I think right now, we're going to get a one-loss team in the national championship. And I think just because of circumstance, I could see that one-loss team being a team from the SEC. Namely, I think Alabama. I think Alabama slips in as the number one. And my number two, I think I'm going to go a little unconventional. I'm picking Louisville. I think the Cardinals are going to end up in the national championship game. Fitting, because one of the first streams we ever did was had Louisville playing in Indianapolis, and then as we'll be entering the 5th year of the 2KU, they'll be in Indianapolis. Danny?
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. For those who may or may not know, I have my own set of computer rankings that I've been doing, and recently they've been really loving Clemson to make in the national championship game. They have themselves the best resume, the best offense, best defense, some of the best overall stats of any team. So I think I'm gonna have Clemson making my national championship game. For me, I'm thinking I'm gonna pick probably USC to win to also make it as well.
It'd be
I think the
Clemson and
coaches are gonna
USC.
just beat themselves down. They're gonna beat themselves up, causing the lose teams from all USC. They got themselves an easy path to the Pac-12 championship game.
I don't know if that matchup's ever happened, Clemson USC.
Not sure.
Pig Bear, who do you have making your national championship game?
I know you're gonna call Homer again. I have to agree with Danny. I think Clemson makes it. I think this is their year, and I'm gonna go crazy. You can mute me. You can do whatever. Rutgers.
Rutgers.
They run the table, win the Big East, and go to the national championship.
That's going to be difficult because right now, Rutgers running the table would have to play Louisville twice.
Yeah, they got it. They got.
I do agree that of the conference championships right now, of the conference champions right now, the most likely one to escape undefeated would probably be Clemson. I'm just a little scared about that Maryland matchup coming up. I think that's where the Terps could end up playing spoiler.
College Park. Is that game in Clemson or College Park?
I'm not sure.
I'll check.
But this is a Maryland team that's played close with pretty much everyone they've had. Their losses are to Georgia Tech and Michigan State, who are both ranked.
Yeah, the game's in College Park.
It's in College
Free
Park.
game?
Potentially a game on the Antoine Joy 101 Discord server where you can find exclusive games as well as live scores and other updates for other sports. But it's going to be a good run. I think I might actually change my picks. I'm gonna agree with you guys. I think Clemson, and I'm gonna pick Louisville as my number 2. You guys have successfully changed my mind. All right. Finally, after all that time, we get to move on to our top 25. Number 1 remains unchanged. Michigan, after their ugly win against Michigan State, as we mentioned, they head to Camp Randall to take on Wisconsin. Number 2, up 3 spots, is Alabama. After their win at Arkansas, they played Georgia in Sanford Stadium. It's a difficult road trip for them. Clemson, number 3, unchanged. They were on bye. They host Georgia Tech, who is number 4. They beat Maryland, who we just talked about, and they head to Clemson to take on the Tigers. Up 3 spots to number 5 is LSU, as they head to Tulsa to welcome them to SEC football. Down 1 spot because of their bye is Texas to number 6. They head to Dallas for the Red River rivalry against Oklahoma. Up 4 spots now to number 7, and for the first time since 2019 into the top 10 is Washington. They took down number 2 Oregon at Autzen Stadium. They head back home to Seattle to take on the Beavers. Oregon, number 8, falling 6 spots after their loss to number 11 Washington. Their next game, they head on the road to play Cal, a Cal team who's 4-1. Watch out. Number 9, up 1 is USC. The 5-0 Trojans took care of Notre Dame, winning back to Jules Shillelagh. They take on Colorado State back in LA, or staying in LA. Number 10, for the first time ever, the Sun Belt has a top 10 team. That's FAU. The 5-0 Owls got a win at Louisiana Monroe, and now they face what might be their toughest test yet in conference at Coastal Carolina on the surf turf. Number 11, 5-0 is Louisville. They beat East Carolina. They head to the Carrier Dome to take on Syracuse up next. Number 12, Pac-12's Boise State, 4-1 with the win over Fresno State. They head to Tucson to take on Arizona. At number 13, up 6 is Oregon State. with that, I believe that makes them our highest risers this week. They were on bye, so they didn't have to work very hard to get that. They head to Seattle to take on a top 10 Washington. Down one spot is Utah. They got a win over Cal. The 4-1 Utes head to Fresno to take on the Bulldogs this week. Georgia up 3 to number 15 after their win at Auburn. Their next game is hosting Alabama. Number 16 is Purdue. The first team to go bowling, 6-0 with a win at Chicago. They get a much-deserved bye. Down 10, what would be our biggest dropper if it wasn't for something else, Ohio State. After their loss to Illinois, they're now 3-2 with another loss to Alabama earlier in the year. Their next game, they head to East Lansing to take on Michigan State. Number 18 is Kansas with that 5-1 record. They got to win at Houston. They are on bye. Remember, Kansas gets an extra game this year. They're sitting at 13. Also, due to scheduling error, we saw. I wanted to mention, since Danny brought it to my attention last weekend, Richmond will also be having a 13th game. Number 19, Nebraska, also out of the Big 12, got a win on Friday at BYU. They take on Texas Tech in what might be a scary good game. Number 20, down 8 from last week, is Michigan State. After their loss to Michigan, in which they only scored 7 points, they host the Ohio State Buckeyes at home. New to the top 25 is Rutgers, 5-0 on the year with the win over Syracuse. They head to Pittsburgh to take on a Panthers team who's played it close with everybody, in spite of their poor record. Number 22, returning to the top 25, our first instance of this year, I believe. It's UCF, 4-2 with a win at number 9 Cincinnati. They are on bye. Though with that 4-2 record and with the teams in the next up, I wouldn't be surprised if UCF ends up dropping again. This might be a team that slingshots up and down for most of the year. Ohio State would be our biggest dropper if it wasn't for Cincinnati, who fell 14 spots down to number 23 after their loss. They lost to UCF. They get Temple at home, and I'm sure Cincinnati fans who remember last season are sweating bullets at that. Number 24, unchanged, is Wisconsin. The 4-1 Badgers got a win at Penn State. They host Michigan coming up. Number 1 in the country. And new to the top 25, it's the undefeated Arizona State Sun Devils. Remember, we saw them on the first game of the season. The Devils are on bye. They get to head to Stanford to take on the Cardinal next week. That might be a trap game, actually. We have 3 teams dropping out. Oklahoma State, who are on bye, but that 3-2 record wasn't going to help them much. William & Mary dropped out after their 5-1 record, or after their 5-0 record went up in smoke on a Thursday night loss to Furman. And West Virginia dropped out after their loss to Georgetown on Friday after just joining the top 25. That's what happens when you join and lose immediately. The other teams receiving votes included Oklahoma State, Texas State, Iowa State, Nevada, Miami, William & Mary, Furman, Cullen-Payton for the first time since 2021, App State, Illinois, Notre Dame, and West Virginia. Your thoughts on this top 25, Danny?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of parity and a lot of ups and downs. Oklahoma State finally making it out. William & Mary dropping like a rock. Same thing with Cincinnati. West Virginia being out. Notre Dame somehow still being in. Still funny to me.
In spite of a 2-4 record for Notre Dame. It can't get worse if they're on bye.
Like real life.
Pig Bear?
Yeah, well, we have a new Virginia Tech. Its name is Notre Dame. But just like to notice, we live in a world where the group of 5s are taking over the next ups. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've been noticing we've had a ton of them in the next teams up. Look at that. Texas State, Nevada, William & Mary, and Furman, Cullen-Payton, App State, Notre Dame at this point.
It's like group of 5 and power conferences should be equal in footing.
Maybe they should be.
All right. Not a lot of games to talk about for games of the week, but we do have a couple, including a lot of ranked matchups. And we start with one. Ohio State, number 17, heads to Spartan Stadium to take on number 20 Michigan State. Ohio State 3.5-point favorites on the road. This is an angry Ohio State team too. They just lost to Illinois. They have to head on the road again to take on a Michigan State team who looks sloppy against the Wolverines. We talked about how poor Michigan played, but we kind of let Michigan State off the hook for that. They also played really poorly on offense, and that might not be enough. I'm going to pick Ohio State to improve to 4-2 and save their skid. Danny?
Yeah, I think Ohio State will also win this game. This game is going to be brutal for Michigan State, but they better hope they could hold down the forts, hold their defenses, and hope it's a beautiful day for football. Don't show anything on the Jumbotron.
Yeah, don't do that. Pig Bear?
Do not do that. Give me since it's in East Lansing. Give me Michigan State.
Moving on. The Red River rivalry from Dallas, Texas, Cotton Bowl Stadium, a Texas State Fair Classic. Texas and Oklahoma. Texas number 6 in the country, only favored by 4.5 though, as they take on Oklahoma. You would think it'd be a lot more lopsided, seeing as it's still in the state of Texas, but OU are obviously still very much competitive in their own right. Texas 4.5-point favorites. Give me the Longhorns to win in this one comfortably. This is an Oklahoma team who, in spite of good wins against Georgia, has also had sloppy games against Iowa State and the like. Give me the Longhorns. Danny?
Hook 'em. Give me Texas. Close.
Pig Bear?
Oh, good Texas covering.
Okay, Michigan. Number 1 in the country. We've seen the cracks in their armor, though, as they head to Wisconsin to take on the Badgers. Michigan, 8.5-point favorites at home. Their last 2 games, Minnesota and Michigan State, we keep mentioning this. They haven't looked great. This is a Wisconsin team who also hasn't looked great recently. They had that loss to William & Mary a few weeks ago. They played close against the Penn State team, who's really been struggling early on. However, I will note, Wisconsin did have a bye in between that. They are rested. They are rested, or relatively speaking, rested. The momentum seems to be swinging in their favor. They seem to be speeding up instead of Michigan, who looks to be slowing down. I think Wisconsin. As I mentioned, I think Whiskey wins the regular season matchup. Give me the Badgers at home. Danny?
Yep. It's going to be homecoming in Camp Randall. I also know Wisconsin's bringing out their throwback retro uniforms. So if you want to see that, log into the 2KU Discord server and watch the stream. But give me the Badgers to win in an upset.
Pig Bear?
I like Michigan here, but I think Maine has too much. Remember, this Wisconsin team lost to William & Mary.
Okay. Up next, we have Nebraska and Texas Tech. Nebraska 3.5-point favorites at home against the Texas Tech squad, who's entering 3-1 off their only loss of the year, which was to Oklahoma State. Nebraska, I like this Cornhusker team. They're going to play well down the stretch, but I mentioned this already. Texas Tech, I think, is going to run the table. Give me the Red Raiders to win it. Danny?
Give me the Red Raiders to win this one as well. They have a high explosive offense, and they were really close to beating Oklahoma State. Just a little bad bounces. So give me Texas Tech to fix that up and win this game.
Pig Bear?
If we stop buying gasoline, Texas Tech will start losing. It's in Lincoln. I like Nebraska.
Up next, Bama, number 2 in the country, taking on number 15, Georgia, in between the hedges. Bama favored by 2.5. Right now, this is going to be a tough one. I think this is where Bama loses their one game of the year. Give me Georgia to win.
Give me Georgia. Georgia's gonna come out with their black jerseys, and I think Georgia's gonna come out and bark all over the Tide.
Pig Bear?
Give me Georgia. Georgia.
We're all picking the Georgia Dogs as there's a touchdown, Dave Show Vegas. To the conference, to the Big East, I was going to say Big East championship game. Cincinnati last season played in this team, the Big East championship. They take on the Temple Owls. Cincy 5.5-point favorites. This is going to be the week of the underdog, I think, for our picks. Give me Temple again. I think Cincy is slipping. I think Temple is continuing their march to try and be that underdog squad out of the Big East North once again. Give me Temple Owls. Danny?
This is gonna be a fun matchup, but give me Cincinnati to win this game close.
Pig Bear?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and pick Temple in this one. I know it's in Cincinnati, but I think Temple will get their road victory.
They're no strangers. Up next, a Northwest Championship matchup. Number 13 Oregon State has the Seattle to take on Washington. I've picked against Washington too many times. 6.5-point favorites. Give me the Purple Rain to win it over Oregon State. Danny?
Give me the Purple Rain to win. It's homecoming in Seattle. They're coming out with their own throwback uniforms as well. Give me Washington as well. Make sure to watch it on the 2K Discord server.
Big Bear.
I don't know. Will this be a field rush game? Oregon State's a really field rushable team. Give me Washington winning in the round 1 of this game.
Next, Oregon. Number 8, after their first loss of the year, they head to Berkeley to take on Cal. They're 10-point favorites on the road. Give me the Ducks to win this. Danny?
This is going to be an interesting game. However, I'm kind of liking the upset here. I'm thinking Cal has a lot of potential. They were undefeated until last week. Give me Cal to win this one.
Pig Bear?
Sorry, Mark Ramiro was telling me about a fantasy trade he's making.
What's the
Yeah,
trade?
worth it. All right. What is the trade? All right, Josh Allen for Caleb Williams.
For Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Ravens defense specialty, Travis Hunter. They have bought Travis Hunter.
Live for live. You're fine. You're fine.
So that's Josh Allen for Caleb Williams, the Ravens defense.
Bryce Young.
Bryce Young.
And who else?
Travis Hunter, Ravens.
Travis Hunter.
Serve.
Survey says.
Survey says.
But in this matchup, give me California. Give me the woke agenda.
The woke yellow agenda of the Cal Golden Bears.
Calgorithm.
The Calgorithm. That I like that one. Moving on. What would be the enemy of the algorithm? That's what Stanford is, as they host number 25 Arizona State. Game is in Stanford. I feel like the Stanford team has started slow, but I've liked how they played recently. Give me the Cardinal to hand Arizona State their first upset, or their first loss of the year. Danny?
Give me Arizona State. Arizona State is battle tested. They are ready. They have big wins underneath their belt. Give me Sparty to pitch their forks into the trees. Stanford trees.
Looking Sparky. Pig Bear?
All right, give me Arizona State, and he's editing the trade.
Naturally. And we wrap.
Caleb Williams might not be bad. Hey, I'm undefeated with Bryce Young.
And we wrap with Fresno State hosting number 14 Utah. Utah are 13.5-point favorites. I feel like this is a Utah team where something's got to give eventually, and I think this is where it happens. Fresno State's 0-3 in conference, but I got a feeling about this one. Give me the Bulldogs in an upset. Danny?
Give me the Utes to win this one. Utah. They already got their loss against Wisconsin. They're kind of afraid of another one, so give me Utah to win this one close.
Big Bear?
Give me Utah.
All right, now we move to our 2KU game of the week. And Pigber, you know what this one is. Why don't you help us set the stage here, since you know these teams?
90 miles separate these two schools, approximately an hour and a half down Interstate I-85. Clemson and Georgia Tech, the two premier engineering schools in the South Atlantic.
All right.
Sorry, NC State and Virginia Tech. These two schools share a lot of history, a lot of rivalry. And yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get my pick out of the way. It's in Death Valley. Give me Clemson.
You're picking Clemson at home. Danny, what do you got?
This game is gonna be fun. It's gonna be electric. It's gonna be a great atmosphere, especially Death Valley at night. I believe there's gonna be a lot of big moments in this game, but give me Clemson to win this game close.
All right. Normally I'd say Pig Bear to send us home, but I'm gonna send us home this time. Clemson are 2.5-point favorites in this one. Right now, Georgia Tech playing about as good as they have, or about as good as they have in a while. Now that they're in the ACC, this rivalry is locked in, and it means more than it has for decades before. Tech, I think, are a very solid rushing team as always. They are a big deal. Look at this touchdown. Clemson,
This
though.
ACL score.
Clemson has a great rush defense. They might shut that down. Inversely, Tech's pass defense, one of the best in the ACC, shutting down Clemson's high fire air game. These are teams that seem perfectly matched on paper, and I was going to say Tech was going to win this game. I was going to pick them to upset. However, talking about the schedule moving forward, and looking at how they played looking at how they played the other week, I think right now I'm picking the other way. I'm going to pick Clemson. I like the Tigers to win this one. You guys have converted me. All right. That game is on Saturday. I believe it's still a Saturday evening game. I believe the next week after that, we're moving our schedule up. We're moving our games up from 9 p.m. Eastern or 8:30 p.m. Eastern up to 4 p.m. Eastern, as this show becomes international.
Yeah.
Shout out to Danny moving out to Madrid. It's going to be a big deal. That's going to do it for us here tonight, though. Tune in on Saturday at 8:30 for Clemson, Georgia Tech. Join the Discord server for exclusive games all week. We actually have games tomorrow on Wednesday night.
Yes. On Wednesday Night Football for week number 7, we got a lot of American action. Let me just grab them. We have Rhode Island goes to Eastern Kentucky, the Rhode Island team that scored over 100 points. And Colgate goes to Army to salute troops in Patriot action.
All right. We'll see you on that. We have games on Thursday and Friday. Tune in to the server for that. Thank you all so much for watching. And as he throws this one in the end zone, so long from the 2K.